New episodes of Chicago Med air Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on NBC, followed by Chicago Fire and Chicago PD Season 10, Episode 15, is bound to be an eventful installment, with Luke Mitchell's character in a life-or-death situation. The official synopsis reads, Ripley struggles to rescue a woman and her daughter trapped in an abandoned well. An old friend from Frost's TV days shadows Maggie. Asha discovers an extremely rare condition in her patient's ultrasound. Ripley is facing potential termination at Gaffney Chicago Medical Center, causing viewers to speculate about his time on the series. Mitchell explains that his character's main concern in Down in a Hole is survival. However, if Ripley survives, the actor hopes he'll find a way to stay at the hospital so he can continue working alongside the Chicago Med cast. Luke Mitchell, it's going to affect him greatly. This is a huge episode for Ripley. It's kind of a make-or-break moment. He needed a distraction, and there's no bigger distraction than having to help save a mother and daughter out in the middle of nowhere down a well, but it's not going to go as smoothly as he would have hoped. I don't know how smoothly you think something like that's going to go, but yeah, ultimately he does need to go down there and things don't go so well. It's a very dramatic end of episode. I'll just say that, Luke Mitchell, I am an eternal optimist, and I do think there is always hope. I will say that this has been in the cards for a little while now. I think it is exactly what needed to happen. I think Ripley has fallen on hard times, and as sad as it was to watch the breakup scene, and to see Ripley drop the L-bomb for the first time, and for Asha to just turn away and say it's not enough, good for her. I think Ripley isn't good enough for her at this moment, and he's got to do some serious work on himself if he is to become good enough for her. So yeah, as it's difficult to watch, I think it's an important part of both of their stories right now. Luke Mitchell, what I will say about Ripley potentially losing his job, he's going to have to stay alive first to need to worry about the job. This next episode, he's going to have at least a near-death experience, and if he makes it out alive, he's got a lot of work to do. He's got to win back the trust of the people he works with, namely his boss. Goodwin's the one that was recommending him for termination. I don't know that that's something that would happen immediately. But if Ripley makes it out alive, I certainly hope that he gets his job back, because if he doesn't, that means that my time on the show has come to an end. Luke Mitchell, I was in on Mooch's storyline with Trudy. It was just such a pleasure to work with both of them. I just played a small role there, but getting to meet him for the first time and getting to work with him and just kind of see firsthand the caliber of actor that he is was really amazing. So knowing that we were able to get him to be a part of this storyline was really special to me. Luke Mitchell, I like that they're not an obvious duo and that things certainly didn't start off terribly well between them, but I think Ripley, ultimately, has had such a lack of a father figure in his life that, I'm not saying, necessarily, that that's the role that Mooch plays. But I think Ripley is yearning for that type of character in his life in a similar way to his relationship with Dr. Charles. Luke Mitchell, I'd love to dive into Ripley's past. I had been told breadcrumbs coming into the show about who he was and what his childhood was like, and obviously, on screen, we've seen talk of juvie and him being prescribed medication by Dr. Charles and then him making huge changes and just turning his life around and becoming a doctor. That's kind of incredible, and I would really love to at least explore his relationship with his mom, which I believe is non-existent. I think the only reference we've made to her in the show is that she's been in and out of institutions, and he hasn't heard from her in years. So that feels like a fairly pivotal relationship to explore, and the fact that he didn't know his dad, and his mom had a string of dropkick boyfriends, I just think that's pretty juicy territory to explore.